Rieger getting traded to Minnesota changes nothing.
6'4" guys running 4.4s. These guys don't grow on trees. And a lot of times I'm willing to bet on, especially long term, on the freak athlete.
You don't ever want to overreact to what guys look like in preseason. There's been a ton of preseason all-stars that never make rosters or never pan out.
And welcome in, everybody, to another beautiful Sunday morning here at Elliott Fantasy Live, as my head gets cut off by the banner, but that's okay. It's a beautiful Sunday morning because we already have football. We are at halftime in the Vikings and Saints game, and so I've been enjoying that all morning. So we'll probably tackle that here first this morning, get you caught up on what's going on, all the big news that's happened there. But first of all, as always, Chase, welcome to the show. Good morning. Happy Sunday.
Good morning. Happy Sunday. Yeah, it's nice to wake up to football on a Sunday. I could handle that every week. Have it from now until time I put my kids to bed. Hey, let's do it.
I sure could too. And Kevin, how are you this morning as well?
I am doing outstanding down here, and life is good. And all I need is a few more passes directed to Justin Jefferson, and the morning would look certainly brighter. So.
Yeah, I could use myself. I was telling Kevin before the show here, I got a parlay in on this game right now where I've already got the Chris Olave anytime touchdown score. So that's good. I need the Justin Jefferson one. I need the Vikings to win. I need Chris Olave to go over 64.5 yards. So that's the one that I'm probably sweating the most right now because he hasn't been targeted a ton. So we will see. I'll keep you posted. But that would be a nice $10 to win $570 on that 6-leg parlay I got going on for this game.
That would certainly make your weekend right there.
If Olave ends up over 64.5, or then Andy Dalton's gonna have a pretty tired arm. He's a pretty old man.
I know, but we'll see.
Yeah,
he should. I think they're gonna have to go his way.
That's where the arm curls come in before the game.
But look, this is it's been an interesting game so far. It's pretty tight. It's a 13-7 Vikings lead right now, and they got bailed out a little bit by a fumble here. No, I shouldn't say bailed out. They almost screwed it up, is what they did, because they got the field goal to make it 10-7 after getting stopped on third down. And then they went ahead, and with 59 seconds left, they have the ball on the 20-yard line of the Saints. And they only get 4 plays off, including the field goal, because they didn't use a timeout until 3 seconds left. They had all 3 timeouts on the 20-yard line.
These rookie head coaches need training on clock management. I don't get it.
They easily could have probably, if they used a timeout after the first play, which was a very quick, like maybe 6-second play, because it was a quick out pass to Jefferson where he was tackled immediately at the line of scrimmage, they probably wasted the potential for like 3 more plays. And I think they could have gotten the end zone easily if they had just used their timeouts. It's just a travesty.
Well, especially with the receiving core they have, they should have been able to take some end zone shots from there. And
exactly, and the way Thielen's been catching the balls, like Cousins been throwing the ball, like they would. I think they would have scored. So that if they turn around and lose this game by say 4 points, I think you can come right back to that moment and say this is a coach's loss. Because so far the players are leaving it out there right now for the Vikings. But are you guys surprised by anything in this game so far? Have you guys been able to keep an eye on it as the morning's gone on?
I'm not surprised by anything in it. I like both offenses in terms of scoring some fantasy points, even without Jameis Winston playing for the Saints. Andy Dalton, for all the ragging that I just gave him and everybody else gives him, he's a capable backup quarterback at this point in his career, and he was a capable starter, and he can throw to the receiving core that they have. I should be able to throw to them.
To be fair, is banged up. Thomas out.
Landry's playing, but
he's not 100%. It doesn't look that way, at least.
Yeah, but I mean, there's guys on that team. There's targets on that team between their running backs and their tight ends, and Juwan Johnson is looking like a much better player this season. Taysom Hill is still a weapon when you get down close enough, and you never know where they're going to break him out on the field.
Could be at quarterback for all we know.
Right. You never know when he's out on the field, and he is effective in the few snaps that they give him every game. And with Olave looking like he's actually going to be a guy, Jarvis Landry, is banged up, but you're not looking at Jarvis Landry downfield anyway. You're looking at Jarvis Landry underneath, and for, like I've always said, he's that 3rd and 8, get you 10 yards guy. So
I think the one thing that has surprised me with this game so far that I don't think because I didn't even realize it, and I don't think anybody else did, because I didn't see a single person talking about him. Latavius Murray was upgraded from the practice squad for the Saints today, and he's actually, I believe, out-touching Mark Ingram right now in this game.
Really?
And I think that is something that we all missed. Because honestly, I did not know that was happening today.
They got the gang back together.
I didn't even know he was still in the league, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I knew that. I picked him up in a dynasty league because I saw that they had signed him to the practice squad several weeks ago. I did not see that they elevated him today, but like I said, this game kind of happened before.
Well, when it happens, at 4:00 in the morning, things can slide.
Right. Out touching Ingram is a little bit of a shock, though.
Okay, so
Yes,
I was wrong on
I
was wrong on out touching Ingram visually with my eyes watching the game. It seemed like that, but Ingram does have 6 rushes and 2 catches, and Murray has 3 rushes and no catches. So my bad, I was wrong on
so 9 rushes. It seems to me that you need to have more rushes than 9 rushes.
Yeah, it's a total in this game. Yeah, Taysom Hill does have 2 as well, so they have a total of 11 rushes as a team right now.
That's not giving your offense a whole lot of bang for your buck.
You shouldn't be leaning that much on Andy Dalton at this point.
Well, they shouldn't be leaning that much on.
4 years old, you got to give the guy a break.
Well, Mark Ingram and Latavius Murray aren't that much younger.
Exactly true.
They're got other guys
42
on that team.
or something. So yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure, but that's what's going on. It looks like they're going to be starting the second half here any minute, so we'll keep you updated if anything big happens in that game. Before we do get into the games, I do want to update you guys because I know Chase had a reaction when I said this in the chat to him. I know I mentioned a trade I made last week in my home league, and it was a pretty what should I say, lackluster reaction from you guys on me trading away at the time Aaron Jones and Cordarrelle Patterson for I believe it was Garrett Wilson, Cam Akers, and Kareem Hunt. But since then, I then flipped that around and traded away Hunt and Wilson for Mike Evans and I'm blanking now. Who else did I get? Sorry, I apologize.
He's blowing this one up. He's like, which league was this in?
I got Mike Evans and AJ Dillon out of that trade to flip that around. So essentially, I traded away in the end Patterson and Aaron Jones for AJ Dillon, Mike Evans, and Cam Akers.
Well, Patterson's questionable today, so who knows how that's going to work out for you.
Works out great because I don't have him anymore.
Right. Don't worry about it. But if he does what he did last week, once again, then that doesn't look so good.
See, but that's why I traded him after he did that last week, because I have been in the camp all off season and still so far that he's not going to have the year he had last year. And I'm going to stand by that. And that's why I made that move. It may look like I sold wrongly on both Jones and Patterson, and Jones maybe, but Jones and Dillon, I think, are at this point, even though from a fantasy standpoint, Dillon hasn't exactly hit the ceiling of Jones, I think he's still capable of showing up any game.
In terms of what you want from them. Patterson, getting rid of Patterson, getting out from underneath Patterson is the right move.
Yeah, so I still feel good about the trade. I'm happy with the way, especially getting Mike Evans.
As long as you're not banking on Algiers or whatever that, don't do that. So.
No, I was just him.
My initial response to your trade was that because I see Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's the other league. Yeah, that's the other league.
I see Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Lazard on one side, and the other side is Patterson, Dortch, and Williams. My comment was that there's a literal metric F-ton of fantasy frustration involved in that trade. Like there's not a single guy in that trade that I can look at and be like, yeah, this is exactly what's going to happen with him for the rest of the year.
But sometimes I just like to trade.
Oh, well, you gotta keep it interesting if nothing else.
I do, but hey, Chris Olave just made a big catch for the Saints, so they're getting closer to my receiving yards prop for the parlay. But anyways, that's the update here. Let's get into it, everybody, because Kevin, you brought this up before the show, and it is a game that I did want to talk about pretty early on here, because we got Zach Wilson returning for the Jets. And it might not seem flashy, but I've been a Zach Wilson supporter all off season, so I'm excited for it. I drafted him in a few leagues, and
I drafted him in the Lemonade League, or whatever, whatever you call that.
Belly Up Bowl.
The Belly Up Bowl. And of course, he went down first series of the preseason, and I was like, oh man. And so hopefully today I'll get some bang for my buck there.
Yes, and I think you will because I like I said, I think the Jets played this right with Wilson. They really waited until he was ready to come back. It's not like they're rushing him
Yeah,
back.
there was no reason to rush him.
And credit to Joe Flacco for allowing them to do that.
Joe
because
Flacco kept that team afloat.
He was serviceable enough for them to where they didn't feel pressured to rush him back. So credit to Joe Flacco coming in and doing his job as the backup, as the stopgap that they needed. But look, Garrett Wilson, I think, is only going to get better now with Zach Wilson because they're going to be able to push this ball down the field, which means I think Breece Hall is also going to have a better run here going forward because I think the line is going to open up a bit for him. And don't forget about Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson had.
Well, I've got him on my roster, so I can't forget about him. So hopefully that works out.
They had a connection.
Forget about him.
They had a connection last year. Now, look, you can say Garrett Wilson has obviously taken the spotlight here, and he's probably still going to get more targets than people really factored in when they were high on Elijah Moore in the offseason. But I still think Elijah Moore is going to play a role in this offense because this was an offense I believed in. So against the Steelers, I think there's going to be some success between Wilson, Hall, and Garrett Wilson, to be specific. Do you guys agree? Like, are you not a Jets fan, but are you a Jets believer in this offense now that Wilson is at the helm?
I've been in on them since way before the preseason. I like what they're doing in New York. I've said that before. I've been on record on this show. I think I've said it in my columns.
Yep.
I think they are doing it the right way in New York. Now, yeah, they're not a juggernaut team yet by now, but they've got a ton of young guys on offense. They have started to build up that offensive line in front of Zach Wilson. So now you've got your guy that you think you got your guy at quarterback. You're protecting him up front, and they are surrounding him with good, exciting, electric young weapons. Tyler Conklin looks like a great pickup so far at tight end. And don't forget, they picked up CJ Uzomah, who we know is a good, capable tight end, veteran tight end. And the two of them are in front of a good rookie draft pick in Jeremy Ruckert at tight end for them. They've got a good stable there. And if there are worse guys for Ruckert to learn behind than CJ Uzomah and Tyler Conklin. And then on top of that, you've got not just the two young guys in Wilson and Moore at receiver. They've still got Braxton Berrios to run a slot. And yeah, he's been banged up a little bit, but he's a good veteran. He connects well with Zach Wilson. The two of them, I guess, are good friends, and they love playing together. And they've still got Corey Davis on the outside as well. And we know that Corey Davis, in his past, when he was with the Titans, he's been a reliable, wide receiver 2 type in fantasy as well. They've got some good pieces on that team and a defensive minded head coach who's going to be working on that side of the ball. So hang on to your moms and wives because Zach Wilson's back. And I think that, against the Steelers, they stand a chance to be able to do something here today. It wouldn't shock me to see them come out of this with the win.
It wouldn't shock me either. Kevin, do you feel the same way?
Well, it's interesting that you highlighted this game right off the bat, because when you were going to talk about what's your fantasy game that you're highlighting this week, this was it for me.
Oh, sorry.
So, no worries, because all the reasons that we just talked about, Zach Wilson at quarterback, how's things going to work? Because as you mentioned, Joe Flacco made these guys relevant on offense. And how's it all going to transfer over? What do you got? Zach Wilson back there now? Is he going to sit, Garrett Wilson, is he going to be thrown to him a lot, or is he going to focus in on somebody else? And so we're going to need to find out just who he likes to throw to and what kind of fantasy implications all that has on the Jets. And I think that if you've got these Jet players, that you could be pretty, whomever it might be, except for maybe Carter. I don't know how he's going to factor in all this, because as you mentioned, I think Breece Hall is going to be taking over as the lead back, and so Michael Carter, I don't know how he's going to work out, but everybody else, I think it's going to work out great in fantasy.
Agreed. And look, Michael Carter is someone that I was always down on this year because Breece Hall being there, it just seemed like the offense was going to be more geared towards the Breece Hall style of running. But look, Chase, you mentioned Tyler Conklin. He's been good so far this year.
I am
worried.
A great pickup. If you got him, that's a good pickup.
I am worried about him with Wilson at the helm now, though, just from a standpoint of if they are going to try to push the ball more. I wonder how many of his targets so far now do get switched over to Elijah Moore or to guys that can push the field a bit more. Like I'll be curious to see how they use Conklin with Zach Wilson as a quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be awful the rest of the way, but it's one of those things where I'm watching. It's a question mark for me.
Well, they're still going to need underneath targets. That's not going away. And with Berrios banged up, so a little bit of unsurety in the slot position for right now. There's still going to be targets to go around for him. I mean, he's tied for third in the league in targets right now among tight ends. It's not like that's all going to disappear. I wouldn't think.
Sure.
Wilson may check down to the running backs a little bit. Who knows? We'll have to see how
that's why it's a question mark. That's the one spot where I'm curious to see how Wilson plays it.
And I don't know going forward that they're necessarily going to lead the league in targets so far, or in pass attempts like Flacco. Man, that guy, he's earned his money already, and we're only 3 games into the season.
That's right.
Throwing 150 some pass attempts, but I don't think they're going to completely dry up for him.
But yeah.
I think Conklin is their tight end 1 for the season. I don't think that
Uzomah
is a major threat.
I don't see how that could change and they'd be successful.
And I think that, Ruckert
stay with what works.
Ruckert's talented and young, but he's a young tight end in the NFL that typically takes a year or two to pan out. I still like Conklin going forward as a low end tight end 1 for the season. I'm not as worried about Wilson coming back and anything getting taken away from Conklin as I am just, can this offense maintain the passing volume?
When that first hit happens, how does he react?
Well, there's that too. But yeah, if this offense maintains any kind of passing volume like we've seen the first 3 weeks, I don't think anything changes in terms of how often these guys are getting used and how much we're going to see out of them. I still like Wilson going forward. I still like Conklin going forward. Yeah.
And just quick update here in the Vikings Saints game. Vikings just punted, but it looks like this is going to be a clean fumble. Knee was not down yet. Vikings recover once again in New Orleans territory, close to the red zone, if they're not exactly in the red zone. So also surprising, no penalty here on the Vikings for number 29 Boyd to recover the fumble. As he was running down the field celebrating, ripped his helmet off and threw it to the ground. So is that still not a penalty? Have they changed that?
I thought that taking your helmet off was bad juju.
So I know it was a penalty a year or 2 ago. I thought it was still a penalty, but maybe that's been a rule that's been changed.
They're in England, anything goes.
Exactly. But
European rules.
So it looks like Vikings are taking over at the Saints 44-yard line right now. So we'll keep you posted up on that. But real fast, before we get into Chase's game of the week here, let's take a quick early listen to our sponsors over at Manscaped. And I'm sorry, I'm looking up as Justin Jefferson almost just scores a touchdown, gets down to the 3. So big time right there.
Of course, they couldn't give him 3 more yards. Of course.
I know, right? I needed it. But anyways, let's take a listen from Manscaped here. Dan Maynard, as always, on the narration. We will be back right after the short break.
Football is back, baby. We're back to seeing Mahomes sling beautiful balls all over the field, and your friends at Manscaped are here to help you sling your beautiful balls all season long. With Manscaped's state-of-the-art tech, we'll have your weapon looking more loaded than the AFC West. Football may be rough, but your ball care doesn't have to be with Manscaped. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Meet the best valued bundle yet for the Manscaped Pocket Rocket, the Platinum Package. At quarterback, the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, a wily vet who makes sure the unit is running smoothly and scoring nonstop with proprietary advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower limits mistakes and protects the ball. Plus, it's waterproof, so the weather conditions are no issue. At running back, the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, built to bust through all the right holes. A hairless nostril just helps it keep a nose for the end zone. On the offensive line, we have our unsung heroes, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner, the Trent Williams and Corey Lindsley of Sack Protection. standing strong to keep your boys fresh and clean through all 4 quarters. Add Wideout, the cleanest duo in the league. The Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo plus conditioner. With their rugged scent, they attract both the ball and all the ladies in the crowd. Plus, these two leave your skin and scalp feeling more hydrated. That means more plays on the field and less water breaks. At tight end, the product makes your end look tight. Manscaped's anti-chafing boxer briefs, a dedicated jewel pouch to increase ball handling, and a cool, steady vibe thanks to their moisture-wicking fabric. On defense, there's only one thing you need, the aluminum-free Ultra Premium Deodorant. With refined cologne, quality fragrance, it keeps sweat and locker room scents from making any ground. Plus, it dries clear so the opponent won't even know what hit them. To top it all off, we throw in the best coach in the league, the Shred Travel Bag, as a free bonus. Built to hold the team together, this travel-sized bag has a fumble-resistant zipper. This has got to be a Super Bowl winning roster, but don't take my word for it. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASy. Manscaped for turning your player into an MVP.
All right, and welcome back.
Oh.
Yeah, nobody does that like Dan.
Let me put my lawnmower away. Sorry, I was getting a quick trim before we
Oh, Jesus.
back in the bag. Good to go.
That was a nice travel bag you had for there, by the way.
Yeah, you got it.
But as good as Manscaped is, maybe you don't use it on live television.
Well, no, that's why I did it during the commercial break.
But anyways, as the Vikings come away with another disappointing red zone possession with a field goal. Chase, where is your game of the week this week that you're either looking the most forward to watching or that you think is going to be the most fantasy relevant?
Well, right now I'm facing the Justin Jefferson in my home league, and so I love missing him on third down there. So that's not a disappointing field goal for me. Plus, I'm a Packer fan, so
Did you see the play before that where he had him beat in the end zone and Cousins just threw it behind him? It should have been an easy touchdown.
Doesn't bother me at all.
Of
man.
course, I have Justin Jefferson.
I know I don't have any shares of him this year. He went.
I don't either.
He went where I was not picking, so he actually went too early. I picked
I
late
picked
in
him
like
at
every.
number 5.
I was
in my
either picking
redraft
like
league.
number 1 in every league or way down around like 8, 9, like literally like across the board. Is weird.
Yeah, and he
So
was
I have
that
literally
5-6
zero
range.
Justin Jefferson, unfortunately. No, my game of the week right now that I'm really looking at, I don't think it should be a shock. Bills Ravens, because there are about 8 trillion fantasy points to be had in this game, regardless of the
Leave
defenses.
the defenses at home, though.
Right. Yeah. No,
yeah.
I'm steering clear of the defenses in that game. But in terms of, you've got Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson at quarterback on either side. So one's going to throw for 8,000 yards. The other one's going to run for 8,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
We've got receivers that, between Mark Andrews on the side of the Ravens and hopefully Rashad Bateman then. And we've got Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs and even Isaiah McKenzie on the other side. Who knows what the hell Dawson Knox will do, but he'll probably catch a few balls at least, and he may get in the end zone. And then all kinds of running back by committee questions. Who's going to do what on either side right now? I'm hoping for some J.K. Dobbins today because I've got quite a few shares of him.
We need some Singletary sightings.
I am
today.
big on some Singletary. I have him across a bunch of leagues as well, and I still think that he's the best option in their backfield.
Yeah, James Cook has not materialized.
He hasn't looked like everybody thought that he was going to. I think that unfortunately that fumble on his very first touch there in that first game, I don't know I hope it didn't color the coaching staff's view of him. I mean, I wouldn't think so. They're professionals. They see him every single day. They've got to know what kind of talent he is by now. But I think that we've had like 3 seasons now of this Singletary Moss. Will they, won't they, who are they?
Yeah.
And I think, when it became apparent early on last season that Zach Moss just didn't appear to be their guy, whether or not he can be a guy, he just didn't appear to be their guy. And then late last season, when Singletary took over and kind of actually finally seized that job by the throat over the last month and a half or so of the season, I think, and he's young, and they're all young. I mean, Moss and Singletary, I think they're both 24, 23. I mean, they're not old. Even yet, they've been in the league several years now, and they're still not old players. They're in their prime for running back slots. But I just think that Singletary is their best option overall. I think he can catch, he can run, he can play it on the goal line, he can play between the 20s. And I think that people were a little low on his ability coming into the season. I liked his ability, and I think he's starting to see the actual usage to back that up. I think he's a solid running back 2 type going forward here. And again, he's on one of the best offenses in football. So you want to have him. On the other side, J.K. Dobbins, then we know he's got all the talent in the world. One of the bigger questions with him, however, is going to be, A, is he fully back and healthy? But B, how much is he going to be affected by the fact that he's behind possibly the best rushing quarterback in the entire league? And we know that that Lamar Jackson is going to take some carries away from whoever is their starting running back.
More importantly, some touchdowns probably.
Right. And that's part of that's the biggest question with J.K. Dobbins. It's a good rushing offense. We know it's a good rushing offense. They're always up among the leaders in the league. So if somebody can be a lead running back in that backfield, and I think it will be Dobbins when everybody's healthy, when Edwards gets back, with Justice Hill there, I think when everybody is healthy and ready, Dobbins is your guy. But how much is he affected by literally playing behind Lamar Jackson? So,
yeah, from a DFS standpoint today, if I'm playing guys from this game, I'm actually avoiding the running backs, just because I think it's going to be hard for the running backs in this game to outscore the receivers and the quarterbacks.
You got 2 running quarterbacks. You got 2 quarterbacks that will run the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, so from a DFS standpoint, it's just going to be that kind of game, I think, where, and look, it's supposed to be some rain in Baltimore, so I'm so glad you brought up Isaiah McKenzie, because we saw what Jacoby Myers was able to do out of the slot and beyond last week for the Patriots against
Won't
the
be
Raiders.
doing it this week.
What, McKenzie?
No, Myers.
Yeah,
he's out this week, but
Brian Hoyer.
sorry.
I think he is out. Yeah, but
he might be watching our show right now.
Isaiah McKenzie should be able to have a nice day today coming out of the slot against this Ravens defense, especially with Gabriel Davis back. I think the attention will be down because, look, there's one thing the Ravens don't want to let happen again is be beat on big plays. I think that's still in their head, so I think they're going to really be paying attention to Diggs and Davis. I think McKenzie's going to have a lot of one-on-one coverage today.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No, and you know, like I said, Dawson Knox, I don't know. He had such an efficient season, you know, when he kind of had his breakout there, and everybody's like, "Oh, hey, Dawson Knox, let's pick him up."
He's been in the ditch since then.
Well, it's the same thing with Robert Tonyan that we saw in Green Bay too, in terms of both of them were so touchdown effective that year that there's no way that can carry forward. Now they've both actually been getting more looks this season than I kind of thought that they might. But you know, Dawson Knox, if he scores a touchdown, hey, great. If not, who knows? But like you just said, if they're paying attention deep, if they're trying not to get beat deep, if there may be some looks open underneath for not just McKenzie, but Knox as well. Yeah. And for that matter, James Cook, you know, or Singletary, whoever is in the game at any given time for the running backs, which, you know, I think it bodes well for Josh. I think Josh Allen is going to be Josh Allen today.
Yeah.
But the underneath throws, we may actually get to see some passing touchdowns, you know, as opposed to Allen running it in from the 6-yard line. So I'm excited to see. I'm psyched up for that game.
Well, if you're a football fan,
it looks like a big heavyweight
excited about this game.
Yeah,
big
That's
haymakers.
a perfect 1:00 game to watch. So I believe that one's at 1. So yeah, that's a good one to watch. Kevin, have you had enough time to go to your backup game?
Well,
since I stole your one?
you know, interestingly enough, I'm going to stay with this same game, but I'm going to go over to the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things.
Let's do that.
You know what I'm saying? Because
for the Jets game,
they've already been talking about. Others have been talking about what's the over under on Mitch Trubisky. When is he going to be out? And the only person that has not said anything is the head coach. And if there's anybody deserves some benefit of the doubt, it is Mike Tomlin. He's never had a losing season up until this year. And so if he's not talking about there's going to be a replacement, then let's suspend all talk with that. The player that I'm interested in finding out is Naji Herron. And there was talk about how he was not an efficient runner, and that has certainly turned out to be the case again this year. He's not an efficient runner. He's averaging 3.7 yards per carry as your lead back. That is not making it.
Which
and
is
he's
better than
not
last
catching
year,
the
isn't it?
passes that were supposed to make him such a solid first-round draft pick. And I didn't draft him. As I said, I took Justin Jefferson, but there are a lot of people that were taking him early, I think a little earlier than they probably should have.
Yes.
So Najee Harris has still a lot to prove in the fantasy realm for me. And so I'm looking at him, and also Freiermuth, or however you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering it from here to Timbuktu. And he is on my team, and he is a tight end that I thought could really do some things this year, because quarterbacks, when they're supposed to like their tight end when they're not Josh Allen and uber talented, but that has not been the case so far this year. And so what's going to happen with him and the receivers, Chase Claypool and all the rest of them, are they going to stay fantasy relevant? So this is a game, the Jets, they should be able to do some things against that Jet defense. It's not as terrible as has been in seasons past, but they should be able to do some things. I think this will be a competitive game. So I'm looking forward to, down here in Dallas, there's no Jet Steelers game going on down here, but if there was, I would tune in to see what was going on with that game.
Well, as far as Najee Harris, I was big on him in the preseason because I thought, man, he's going to get a ton of volume, and that's why he was so effective last year. In from a fantasy standpoint,
right?
He was effective last year because of the volume,
got that.
and he's still getting some of that volume, but like he's only got 11 targets through 3 games this year.
He only had 3 last week.
He had 19 in one game last year.
That is not cutting it.
So how much of that is a factor of, or is a result of Trubisky's style of play versus what we had out of noodle arm Ben Roethlisberger last season? The other thing about it is I don't know that we've seen yet. I don't know that we know if Najee Harris is an inefficient runner or if this is an inefficient rushing offense with their offensive line.
Yeah, either way, this year,
either from a fantasy standpoint, I mean, half a dozen of one and 6 of the other, it doesn't matter. If they're not getting the points for you, they're not getting the points for you. But I wonder so much if they could upgrade this offensive line a little bit, if Najee Harris could actually average a little bit over 4 yards a carry, like a normal ass running back in the NFL can and should, and with that kind of volume, I mean, then he would be valuable. He's valuable anyway because
if you've
of the
got
volume.
him in Dynasty, you got to hold on to him with
both
hands.
You've got to hang on to him. Yeah, he's not necessarily worth a shot unless it's the right spot in, like, say, daily. And if you've got him in year long, if you can get somebody to jump on the draft position that you probably paid for him and trade you something, that you might want to look at that. But that offensive line, I'll circle back around to that. That's another part of the reason I think that they need to stick with Trubisky. I know everybody is clamoring.
That's right, because you don't want your rookie quarterback to get his head blown sideways.
Listen, there was not
NFL game. You don't want that.
Nobody had any illusions coming into this draft that we had an Andrew Luck or a Trevor Lawrence or a Peyton Manning. Everybody thought that every single one of these guys was a prospect that needed some developing if it was ever going to happen for them. And the thing that you don't want to do with a developmental prospect is throw the guy in there behind a terrible offensive line in a division that's got 3 decent defenses.
And get him killed.
That's right.
And get him killed. You don't.
After they play the Jets, you know who their next 2 teams are? At Buffalo and Tampa Bay. You're telling me that you want a rookie quarterback against either one of those 2 teams?
Hell no.
That would be disaster to the utmost 10th power.
Yeah.
So we're
No.
not seeing any rookie quarterbacks at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Like I said, I put it out there on Twitter last week because everybody was clamoring for Kenny Pickett to be the quarterback there in Pittsburgh now.
Let's get your stuff together here.
If you were Kenny Pickett's mom, would you want to see your kid out there
That's
behind
right.
that offensive line?
That's
or
right,
would you
yeah.
be too distracted by Zach Wilson to even notice? So,
Well,
and I mean, I know if he was my kid, I wouldn't want to watch him out there.
no, we don't want. No, that's imagery none of us need to see.
No,
None of
but no,
That's great though.
I don't think you want. They need to look at what has happened to their rival Cleveland with almost every single quarterback they've drafted.
Yeah, they've had drafted 347 of them, and
do
and
not
none of them.
kick that guy out there too soon behind a line that can't handle it. He's got great weapons around him. And when this offseason, now that you can settle down and not have to worry about weapons so much, this offseason, when you do upgrade that offensive line for real now, then maybe you can think about giving Kenny Pickett a shot. Until then, give him some garbage time this season or whatever. Let him get used to the idea of the speed of the game, but do not kick him out there with any kind of expectations right now. I don't want to see that for him from a real life standpoint or from a fantasy standpoint right now.
No. Don't ruin his career before it even starts.
Right.
Completely agree. And look, on that note, we're going to take another quick break here to hear from True Classic. And then after the break, we're going to get into some start sit. We're going to get into some any updated news on injuries, ins and outs that we get here.
We need some updates on that.
Yeah, so stick around stay with us for right after this break from True Classic. We'll see you after.
Football is back, baby, and our new sponsor, True Classic, wants you to look and feel your best even after a couple of brewskis or going full force on your fantasy football draft. Sure, it's football season, but it's also butt-to-couch season. Luckily, True Classic has the absolute best-fitting clothing a man can buy. Snug in the arms and chest with a little extra space in the torso, their t-shirts are designed to keep you cozy and highlight your best assets no matter what you're up to. So if your special someone is upset that you're watching football all day, at least you can look good doing it. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men find the perfect fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 25% off with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at TrueClassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing anything but a few beers. Fellas, you are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always confidently throw on. It's about time to get your fit together, so upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and get 25% off at TrueClassic.com with promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. That's 25% off at TrueClassic.com with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. If there's one bet you should make this football season, it's on True Classic. True Classic, look good, feel good.
All right. Awesome as always from True Classic. Look, as I was just scrolling through the updated injury reports here, there's actually, we don't have a ton. We don't know a ton yet.
But, there are some players, star players.
Yeah. So and here's
Patterson in. I just saw it.
Patterson is expected to play. He says he's going to play.
Yes. So Patterson.
Zay Jones out.
Yeah, so Zay Jones out, Patterson in, Dawson Knox is going to be active. Just an update on the current game that's going on right now. So Latavius Murray did get a touchdown for the Saints, and the reason that is because Mark Ingram is in the locker room with an injury. So Latavius Murray, depending on how this injury looks for Mark Ingram and what the Alvin Kamara injury looks like, you might want to grab Latavius Murray. He might be valuable.
Yeah, you might want to take a look at that.
So the other big one here is that Christian McCaffrey, they are going to wait until pregame to make a final decision. Yeah. He is expected to play.
CMC is on the injury report. Stop if you heard this before.
Shocker. Everyone out there is
you
saying
want Foreman in that case.
Well, that's exactly what I said, that he's expected to play, and I've been all about.
Yeah, don't be talking about Chuba Hubbard. All right?
Yeah, no, I've been saying all off season. I know Chase.
He fooled me last year. He's not doing that again.
Deontay Foreman is the guy you want if McCaffrey goes down. So definitely get him on your roster if you're a McCaffrey owner, or steal him from the McCaffrey owner and pick him up before he can. That's something that would be useful. Dak Prescott eyeing a return next week, which is massive. We kind of touched on that earlier. Chris Godwin expected to play. Brian, look, this is another one. It doesn't help this week, but Brian Robinson expected to be activated.
I talked about him in my very first article. Pick him up. People have not listened to me. You need to pick him up. He will be on the field next week, and he could be the RB1 for the Washington Commanders.
In the categories,
because I do believe that was the original plan. So and the Vikings go for a fake punt on 4th and 2 and complete it to what looks to be about a 20-yard gain from the punter passing it. I can't tell who he passed it to, but Vikings will retain the ball in possession here late in the third quarter.
Okay, let's throw it to Justin Jefferson. Okay, can I have a communication, device with the coach or
patch him right into the sideline?
Patch me in.
Kevin O'Connell on the horn.
Jefferson over. Okay,
I'm gonna go ahead and take a guess that Justin Jefferson is not on the punt team.
Yeah, no, that wasn't.
No, I would certainly hope not.
But anyways, before that, to kind of recap how the Saints did get down there to get in position for Latavius Murray to score a touchdown. Marquez Callaway made a big 4th and 2 play, caught it right at the line of scrimmage to gain the first down, and then he caught what looked to be about 20 to 30-yard pass down the sideline to put them in position. Taysom Hill got a run in there. Andy Dalton actually ran it down to the 2, and then Latavius Murray finished it off. So that was how the Saints kind of got there. But look, let's get into like I said, if we get any more news here in the next 20 minutes, we'll, as far as inactives and actives, I'll keep refreshing this page. We'll let you know as it comes out. Josh Reynolds is active for week 4. That one just dropped, which is interesting for Detroit because Amon-Ra St. Brown out, DJ Chark.
Everybody's out for Detroit. Seems like.
Yeah. So Josh Reynolds could actually play a very big role this week for an offense that has been doing very well in the passing game.
That's right. I picked up Williams, and I'm going with him.
Yeah. So
do it.
Especially in DFS, take a look at some cheap value plays in that game for sure. And so let's get into some start sits here because we talked about one already. Here's one between in a PPR, Robert Woods or Isaiah McKenzie. It's Isaiah McKenzie for me. Robert Woods, I have to see it at this point. I'm just not. I thought he'd be so much better at this point of the season. While we let Traylon Burks get used to it, and he just hasn't been.
Well, and part of the thing with Robert Woods is that, they've been given some of that run to Kyle Phillips, and then they like him, and then Burks has looked good, and they keep throwing the ball to Jeff Swaim. Who the hell?
Yeah, I know, right?
I thought Hooper'd be the tight end to have on that team, and hell, I actually picked up Jeff Swaim in a couple of deeper leagues this week because he's the guy that's getting the look inside the red zone there. So I think that Robert Woods is still. I don't think it's a function of his injury. I don't think that he's.
Yeah, don't give up on Woods.
I think he's still a good player.
Don't
but like you said, we have to see it from a fantasy standpoint. We have to see it in this offense first. And right now, his role doesn't look like it's the same that we all thought it was going to be. I think everybody envisioned him as the wide receiver 1 in that offense, and it has clearly not been the case. So, I'm not giving up on him.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, but I'm also not,
you're not
hanging on to him for all I'm worth if there's something else out there on the waiver wire.
Right.
Yes. Now, here's an interesting one here. In a 6-point passing touchdown league, Matt Ryan or Jared Goff. And what makes it interesting is obviously because Detroit has zero weapons. Swift sitting, they've got Jamal Williams in there. We just talked about Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark.
Guess my sorry Seahawk defense. All right.
So it could be possible. Matt Ryan is getting Michael Pittman back this week. He still has Jonathan Taylor.
He's got Jelani Woods. All the guy does is catch touchdowns.
I was ready to, completely bury Matt Ryan, give him his last rites, seal over the parking lot over the top of him. It's over. And then he completely resurrected himself. So I would go Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and that's the way I'm feeling too. Look, and that doesn't mean that Goff isn't capable of.
No, but he just doesn't have any weapons.
Being successful with the weapons he has, say it very well could happen, especially in comparison to Matt Ryan, who we know could just give you a floor game of 13 points or whatever. But I feel like Matt Ryan is still the way I'd go here.
With everybody out this week, do we see something out of TJ Hawkinson, or do we not? Because he's the only option they have.
We better see something out of TJ Hawkinson, or you just might as well send him up. Or down the river, whichever's worse. I'm not sure.
Whichever direction sucks more, send him that way.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay.
Look, Hawkinson needs to show something.
He's been needing to show something for what, 3 years now, and it's not happening.
He's getting by a lot more on recognition right now than he is on actual
He is.
production.
Yes.
The name is carrying him much further than his game.
Yes, and then when it comes to Chicago this week, David Montgomery out, Khalil Herbert in. Khalil Herbert looking great. Do you play? I'm assuming this is Josh Palmer, Herbert, or Palmer in a flex. There's no information. I'm assuming it's Josh Palmer. I mean, I got to play Herbert. But what I want to ask is, are you guys believing the hype
RB1? You got to go with him.
Because Herbert is obviously going to be, I think, massively owned in DFS sake. And I think he's only 5,400, 5,200, something like that. So he's going to be massively owned in DFS.
And he's coming off a career day. Yeah.
Exactly. So do you believe the hype, though? Is he going to be able to perform on his hype? Like, let's talk DFS here for a second.
Obviously, he's not going to do what he did last week. Let's just acknowledge that right off the bat.
So I think he'll be able to return his value.
He can return value, and he could probably get 100 yards rushing, but he's not.
I don't know if he's going for 150 plus in a couple of.
Yeah, he's not doing that.
So let's see here, because here's what I want to look at really fast here. Look at some of the other guys who are priced around the same price range as Herbert. Let me find him real fast here. So Herbert is I just passed it. Where the hell was he?
HER.
Oh, he's okay. So he's actually 5,700. So 5,700. Like I said, I think he can probably hit his value, but because he's going to be so high owned, Devin Singletary 5,900, Melvin Gordon 5,800. You got Damien Pierce at 5,600, Josh Jacobs 55, Travis Etienne 54, Breece Hall at 54. I think from an ownership standpoint and a potential scoring standpoint, Herbert's going to be a fade for me today in DFS.
If you're going to, yep.
I think Breece Hall, Damien Pierce,
Breece Hall. I like Damien Pierce as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, J.K. Dobbins
got blowed up last week, so that was a less than impressive performance.
Like you said, he's in everybody's. He's at the forefront of everybody's mind right now. He's going to be probably higher owned because of that this week.
100%.
If Montgomery never plays again, he will. But I'm just saying,
yeah.
If Khalil Herbert going forward is a starting running back, this is probably his highest owned you're going to see,
100%.
because he's in everybody's head this week. But if you're looking to be counterculture, there are other guys right around that, like you just said, that same value.
What about Jamal Williams? Where does he come in?
So he's going to be the same thing. I think he's going to be just as high owned. I think.
But the thing,
just as high.
My only caveat with that, though, is that we have seen Jamal. I mean, Khalil Herbert has looked very good in the limited times that we've been able to see him as a starter. Khalil Herbert's looked really good. Jamal Williams has consistently, when he has gotten the opportunity to be the RB1, whether it was in Green Bay, whether it's in Detroit, he has consistently been capable of being a starting.
That's right. And
fantasy
he could be an RB 1.5.
Yes.
And still maintain value.
In his secondary roles through 3 weeks, he's scoring more touchdowns than anyone else right now. I mean, he's got almost standalone value just because of how they deploy him. But
I have
the
him,
running back
one.
Him. I like him a little better.
Despite whatever goes on with Swift, it doesn't matter.
But I think when you brought up Breece Hall, I think Breece Hall could be a good play, and he's probably a little lesser owned right now for a little lesser price.
For now,
and now you can take that money you saved and spend it at receiver.
Everybody that's looking in that price range is going to be going to Jamal Williams and Khalil Herbert. It's just what now Williams is. I believe I didn't see exactly how much Williams was. I believe he's slightly more than Herbert, but still, everybody who's kind of in that section of the page is just scrolling around. Herbert and Williams are going to be the quote unquote darlings, and I think because everyone else is going to have them, you're going to have
deservedly so.
Oh yeah, sure, I get it.
Even Singletary, people may not be picking up Singletary because
I'll go with Singletary.
They see him as that name on the offense, and sometimes guys don't want to do that. They think, oh well, I'm not going to take the guy on the good offense. Maybe everybody else is skipping that too. You know what I mean? Like, there are guys in that range. The guys you listed off, there are people I would rather have right now if I'm trying to be counterculture than Khalil.
Well, and here's the logic behind that, because 25% of the people in the GPP have Khalil Herbert, and only 8% of the people have Breece Hall. And you're one of the people that have Breece Hall instead of Khalil Herbert. Breece Hall scores one more point than Khalil Herbert, which is entirely possible this week, especially.
You're good.
then you're jumping 25% of the field. That could be the difference between not cashing and cashing, or the difference between, depending on how high up you are in the cash. That could be a difference of like $50 or whatever, depending on your contest. That 1 point could make a big difference if you're talking about jumping over hundreds of thousands of people.
You got to think about that when you're looking at constructing a DFS lineup like what you're talking about too, and like you did GPP. You've got to think of it along the same lines as you think about your survivor and pick'em pools.
Mm-hmm.
If all you do is go down and pick all the favorites like everybody else does, you are not going to separate yourself from the pack at all. If you want to separate yourself from the pack, you have to find that diamond in the rough value. You have to take a chance or two. If all you're going to be doing is hanging out with the pack anyway, then what's the point of playing? Take the risk, take the shot, and go counterculture. Pick an upset once in a while.
That's exactly right, Chase, because, survival pool, I went with the Chiefs over the Colts. Guess what?
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I got screwed by I got screwed in week 2 by the Browns with their epic meltdown against the Jets.
Yep.
And I took that thinking, hey, I'll still have all these good teams I can pick the rest of the season. Well, you got to get past week 2 first, Chase.
Well, that's somebody else's job now.
Yeah.
Well, a quick update here. Vikings once again settle for a field goal. It's becoming very predictable here that on third down, the Vikings offensive line just cannot provide Kirk Cousins anytime. He has zero time to work.
Well, Kirk Cousins is not bootlegging the ball, so you got to give him time to throw.
Yeah, it's the offensive line is just absolutely failing the team on third down, and it's becoming to be an issue in this game because they only have a 5-point lead now early in the fourth quarter, and the Saints have the ball.
This could be a sneaky good end.
This could be a sneaky good end. So I do have my eyes on it, but let's get back. So this is a very interesting selection of 3 running backs and a full PPR. I'm assuming this is for either an RB2 or a flex, I hope. You got Jeff Wilson against the Rams, Singletary against the Ravens, or A.J. Dillon against the Patriots. I see these now. Singletary is obviously got the most stable, like a starting role, if you want to say. But Jeff Wilson and A.J. Dillon, then they can score just as many points as Singletary, especially given this game. Like we said, I think it's going to be a big passing game, not necessarily like Singletary. I think to be relevant and be able to be startable, he's going to have to get a touchdown because I don't think
he can do against the Raven defense. The Raven defense is that takes it over to the line for me.
Yeah, so
this isn't your older brother's defense.
It certainly isn't. Correct. Where they gave up 8 points or 9 points a game. This is not that.
Yeah.
They're giving 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 yards per play. And Singletary is the answer all day long here.
So Andrew, yes. we've got Brian Hoyer taking snaps. Yep. We've got no Jacoby Myers. And we've got everyone else in that, on that team being who they have been.
Mm-hmm.
And the play calling from the preseason that everybody talked about. What the hell is actually going to happen with New England? Are the Packers going to have to actually score, or are they going to be able to turn around, give it to the quad father and let Dillon eat?
This is
they
going
score
to
17 points, they win this game.
I want to quickly check the over-under on this game because this is going to be a game where it's not going to be as bad as the game.
It's probably going.
It's not going to be as bad as the game last year against the Bills where they threw the ball twice in that foggy game.
It's not going to be what was it 6-3?
They put this in the afternoon. They put this in the late afternoon slot, thinking, "Oh yeah, man, we got a marquee matchup," and then everybody.
So
while you're looking at that, Mac Jones, how long is he down? Mac Jones.
It's still unclear. So after talking to Brian Scott, once again, every week you can check out the
that's right
inside the medical tent
in the tent
inside the medical tent, and we talked
inside the medical tent. Great
inside the medical tent, and we talked about it. Brian is saying that Mac Jones should be, if it is in fact a severe high ankle sprain like it seems to be, should be out anywhere even if he gets the surgery 6 to 8 weeks. All the talk around here is saying more like 4 to 6 weeks. For what's coming out of the Patriots, though, they almost seem to not be willing to admit that at all. So I don't know. There's going to be one of two things here. The Patriots are going to either pressure him to come back too early And Mac Jones is going to either take a stand and not and protect himself, or he's going to do it and he's going to be at risk of worse injury.
He walked out on the practice field this past week. Everybody lost their collective shiznit.
Or
everybody's like, oh, what's going to happen?
Or what's happened here is that the sprain is actually not as bad as it was to be believed at first. And this is just a 2 to 4 week injury. There's so much.
Whatever it is, he's not playing next week and the week after that.
I think Robert Kraft is going full Jarrah Jones here, and he's gonna tell him to get out there. And
I know.
Have fun with that, Doc.
All I know is that this week against the Packers, I'm expecting a ton of running. The over/under right now is 40 points. That's a preseason over/under game. And you know what? I'm taking the under.
Yeah,
because
what have the Packers shown that says
that's what I'm saying? 17 to 13.
The Packers offense hasn't shown
maybe 17 to 10.
The Packers offense hasn't shown us anything special necessarily. The Patriots defense has played better than expected. And if the Patriots are going to just run the ball a ton and the Packers are going to do the same,
depress all the plays.
We're going to look, this is going to be a quick game. This could be a record-setting length of game here. So we'll see.
Hour and 20-minute baseball game.
Yeah.
So who's the play, Harris or Stevenson?
I'm still on the Stevenson train because he is going to get the short passes as well. And quick update, Taysom Hill just ran in a touchdown for the Saints. So Saints now officially have the lead. And also Mark Ingram back out on the field. So it seems like he avoided some major injury there. So maybe let's temper our previous expectations on picking up Latavius Murray. But I don't expect much out of the Patriots Green Bay game today from anybody. Like I said, except maybe the running back. I think all 4 running backs.
How about your boy Dobbs? Okay.
So, like I said, the Patriots secondary has been playing.
Is it Dobbs or Dubs?
I think it's Dobbs.
Yeah.
No, I like Dobbs going forward. I
do too.
They're going to need to be throwing the ball all over the place today. So sure, could he have a couple?
Right. This is a game where 195 yards and a touchdown from Rodgers could win this thing.
Exactly, and that's
and he has not been fantasy relevant at all so far.
Now I really hope this game goes 41-38 or something. Just
you know what? I hope so too, because that'll further prove to me that the rest of the offense is actually starting to
still okay.
Right. So. But yeah, so do you guys have any final thoughts on week 4 before we close it out here on this Sunday preview?
Which Chargers team are we going to see this week?
That's a very good point.
That's a good question. They're playing in Houston. It should be 31 points or so on the board for the Chargers.
I think the Cardinal-Panther game is interesting, whether or not CMC plays, because again, like we just talked about, who are we going to see? I mean, are the Cardinals actually going to come out and look like they've got some?
Well, can they look like something other
aptitude
than
or not?
Roadkill? Can we do that? Can they do that?
Right?
Roadkill.
Broncos Raiders, another game that we all thought was going to be a giant shootout. Now it looks
that might be a 12 another.
Right?
Well, and that's one that I actually wish we did have time to quickly.
Only the Broncos. That was only the second time in NFL history that score has ever happened.
Yeah.
Well, and that is one game that I wish we did have more time to talk about, because I think, especially from a DFS standpoint, considering the injuries, Matt Collins, Darren Waller, I think are in store for big days. If there's going to be anybody that has a big day on that team, it's going to be one of those two. And then, I'm not touching the Broncos, anybody right now, except for maybe Javonte Williams. I think
I've got Melvin Gordon, but he's on the bench this week. So
so that's
it's a team that has to show us.
Yep. It is exactly. It is a team that has to show us.
And it's unfortunate because some of those guys, Sutton went relatively high. You were taking Sutton, you were taking Williams, you were taking Wilson with the expectation. For that matter, you would probably, if you took Albert like I did across a couple of leagues, you were taking him with the expectation that you were going to be able to start him. And now there's not, outside of.
And now he's been dropped.
There's never been a tight end that Russell Wilson, maybe, I don't know, maybe he's allergic to his tight end.
Right. Well, you would have thought getting into a different play call system I thought it was Seattle that was the problem.
Well,
no, it seems like Russell Wilson might be.
Russell
Seattle hasn't been any better for the guys.
Vampires and garlic,
And one last quick look at the inactive and active list. Dalton Schultz is active. This is interesting. Trey Sermon active for week 4 for the 49ers. So do we start to see Trey Sermon mixed in with Jeff Wilson? That's interesting. I don't think he's going to make a massive difference. But Michael Gallup also officially active. Kenyon Drake is inactive. So yeah, your J.K. Dobbins is looking.
Whoever does anybody own Kenyon Drake? If so, why?
Well, no, but I'm more so saying as far as you don't have to worry about that becoming a thing when it comes to Dobbins. So at least this week. But that's all the updated inactive active that I see here. So look, as always, thank you for joining us here on our Sunday morning preview on Belly Up Fantasy Live, produced and maintained by Belly Up Sports. So as always, thank you. We love being here with you guys. Check us out every Sunday, 11 o'clock. And you know what? Look, we just got one last comment in from Daniel. Daniel.
Daniel. All right, Daniel.
He wants to know between Rashad Penny, I'm assuming Derrick Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, and Jeff Wilson and Cordarrelle Patterson, he needs 3. And he's listening because he just shot me with an LOL.
Henry, Stevenson, Wilson.
That's I feel that too. Henry, Stevenson, Wilson is exactly what I was going to say. So good luck, Daniel. Kevin, do you agree? Do you want to confuse him?
No confusion. No confusion.
Good. All right, so good luck, Daniel. Thank you for tuning in. Hit us with your questions next week. Come back next week and every Sunday.
First down. That's good.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the rest of this London game, which looks like it's going to be an interesting finish. So we will see you next week and have a great one, guys.